Hello everyone and welcome back to Project A.U.C. So today we're going to be discussing part 7 of the Awoken Wisdom cold read, and that is The Wrath of My Awakening. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and do a cold read of The Wrath of My Awakening. Let's begin. It's always getting hard to stay awake, but now it's even more dangerous to stay alive. Nothing has changed in this society. We live in a world that is corrupt. The monuments that we have built have fallen. The air that we breathe is toxic. Darkness has consumed everything in its path. People have chosen silence than to amplify their voice. We are at war with one another and take each other down into places we will feel regret, living our life in agonizing pain, feeling the torment of what hate has done to our soul. We give in to our demons because we let our faith die out. We need to wake up and start believing. Now it's our time to make a destiny. I know what I believe in. I have struggled, cried, and even lost faith. I keep dealing with my struggles, but I still grab hold of hope. This is my life, and I have the ability to control it. I believe that we can form new foundations to restore the broken, replace all the corruptions with rectifications in the world. I am done sitting around and doing nothing. You can't wait for someone to make the change. You have to be the change. The darkness will not go away until the light finally shines. When we fall, we need to rise again with our hopes and dreams, so that when we keep living our life, sorry about that, lost my place. Sorry again. Okay. The darkness will not go away until the light finally shines. When we fall, we need to rise again with our hopes and dreams, so that when we keep living our life, we realize that we are awakened in this world to properly live our life. Because we will always believe what's inside. Keep living up to your full potential. You are the great awakening that will open the eyes in society. We need this world at peace and prosperity to be alive. But the battles within ourselves will continue unless we are open to our own worth and confidence. Don't fall into darkness. Live in the light. And that, everyone, was The Wrath of My Awakening. So, as I mentioned before in the previous video of part 6 of the Awoken Wisdom cold read, what I like to do, and if you're new to the channel, new to Project A.U.C, what I like to do here is go through a discussion of the writing process, of the film process, and share my final thoughts overall of the message I have to share on The Wrath of My Awakening. And alright, so now we're going to dive into a discussion of the writing process. So, in general, of what I wanted to convey in this spoken word piece is to be vocal about the world and its impact on people. Because, especially in the time that we're living in now, and with some of the wording in this spoken word piece, it relates a lot, especially to what's been going on back then to still going on today. And I feel where when I was writing this to really go a little bit into detail of, you know, things that I've seen or heard people tell me about, of, you know, what obstacles and, you know, walls people run into in life. And for one thing in the spoken word piece that stuck out to me the most, to where that's where it kind of kicks off everything else, to where I say nothing has changed in this society. And then moving along forward, I kind of give you examples of that, to where people have chosen silence than to amplify their voice, or darkness has consumed everything in its path, where some people are choosing more of the wrong path, or choosing evil actions against one another, or that the monuments that we have built have fallen, and you can take that as something in general together that everyone has tried to contribute, or personally as an individual, to where you've tried to work towards something, but then you see that thing that you were working so hard for collapse because of other factors around you in life that are preventing you because of the way of how society and the world is currently right now in its condition. And toward the end on the written process, that I'll just say here, at the end, throughout the beginning of the spoken word pieces that I've written, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it now again. Normally what I like to do is to remind everyone again of the bad things that go on, negativity, but bring it back toward the end of the spoken word piece and try to leave you with something positive, instill something positive at the end of the video. And with that, one of the things that I mentioned at the very end being that, but the battles within ourselves, I'll go back one more. So, we need this world at peace and prosperity to be alive, but the battles within ourselves will continue unless we are open to our own worth and confidence. Don't fall into your darkness, live in the light. So, with those two last sentences, and with this spoken word piece still on the writing process, to where leaving you with that a lot of people nowadays are lacking to understanding their own worth and confidence along the way. Because now everyone feels like they either have to go all out to be worthy, or they may be too afraid to try this or that. But when you understand your own, I believe it's your own self-worth, then you don't worry about how the world or society needs you to be doing this or that. You're doing this or that, or whatever you choose that you love to do, on your own behalf. Not the world's and not society's. Sorry about that. But you're choosing to do things the way that are going to be fulfilling to you. And along the way, having the confidence and strength to do so and being happy along the way while achieving, of course, the things that are going to fulfill you. And to conclude on this written process, on that last sentence of the spoken word piece, where don't fall into your darkness, live into the light, live in the light. And with that, I kind of feel like it says enough for itself, to where when we struggle, go through the negativity, the doubts, it makes us fall alone into dark places that seem impossible to get out from. But especially in times like these right now, we need to be more focused on living in the light, and in other words, striving for better places in our life now, and trying to encourage other people to just do more good in this world. Now, I'm gonna be moving on to the discussion of the film process. So I believe, again, roughly that this was, I would want to say, 2 years ago that I filmed The Wrath of My Awakening. And this was filmed at a college that I went to, and it was at the parking garage. And from the video, at night, and mainly, well, in the beginning, where you'll see on ground, well, on the floor, to where I'm trying to making my way walking through to get a view of the streets, because you'll see the majority of the video to where I am speaking of this spoken word piece as I'm looking out into the distance of the view of the streets from where I'm at. And to me, I would say that with the way how picturing of the way of how I filmed The Wrath of My Awakening, it was really also visually to convey of my thoughts, you know, toward the world and society, as that's mainly, to me, like a lot of times we can almost be really frustrated and angry toward the world, and with the title itself, The Wrath of My Awakening, like, and to me it would just seem like I'm awake to see all these things going around, or that I'm done being silent and ready to be vocal and sharing my thoughts out into the world, so to speak. And toward the end, the screen is pitch black, whereas it's getting closer to the end of the video, but also closer to the positive aspect, to where, how I said before, the beginning acknowledging the negativity, but toward the end also acknowledging the positivity. And when it changes from pitch black to a field of just greenery and flowers, to me I felt like that represented a sense of growth, to realize that, which would follow along into the next thing, last part of the video, to where you'll see me say you can't wait for someone to make the change. You have to be the change. And at the time, and even now, reflecting back on that moment and tying in with the growth aspect, to where a lot of times we'll realize that we need help and get the help from other people, but most of the time, and in our struggles, can't always really rely on either one person or whoever it is that you go to for support, as some things are best kept to ourselves. And it really falls into, you can't rely on someone to always help you through that process of change, to where you have to sometimes take that step for yourself and be the change that you needed for yourself. So yes, you have the support of others, but also another big supporter is yourself. Because you have the strength of others, but you also have to acknowledge the strength that comes from within yourself. And now, everyone, I'm going to be closing out on the video with some final thoughts, and that is, we go through a long process of success and failure, but on the path, we come across so much more than we thought. The hardest part in doing the things we need to do is understanding how we are going to do them in the first place. And to quote from The Wrath of My Awakening, you can't wait for someone to make the change. You have to be the change. And that, everyone, has been part 7 of the Awoken Wisdom cold read for The Wrath of My Awakening. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you stayed all the way through to the end of this video. And if you haven't already, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you haven't already, make sure to follow Project A.U.C on Instagram for more updates and content on both Instagram and YouTube. And before I close out, so probably, most likely, you'll get part 8 of the Awoken Wisdom cold read next year in January, and I hope you will stay tuned for part 8 of the Awoken Wisdom cold read, and I'll see y'all again real soon.